Today at ODM parliamentary group meeting, Raila reiterated something about his handshake with President Ruto and also reminded Kenyans that at some point Kenya has been on the verge of collapse. So as much as we say that no handshake and all that, you should always remember how important it is to keep Kenya peaceful. Just listening.
As a party, we must never be ashamed to remind the people that we can never accept collapse as an alternative path to power. We must never be shy to remind the country that as a party, we have pursued compromise before and will pursue it whenever necessary in the interests of the nation. We had the option of taking it out to the bitter end in 2007-2008. All we needed was to insist that we would not engage in any talks with our opponents. But we saw the danger of Kenya collapsing, and we opted for compromise for the sake of Kenya. Because as you see, after so many days of demonstrations, you saw that eventually the military were on the streets. And they were on the streets, of course, they were fairly civil to the Wananchi at that time. But that was because they had not been given instructions. And you know, there is what you always all the time talk about, the chief of defense forces. Once the military are given instructions, they execute. And we are almost there. We are almost there. So he said it's better to have a country that is civil, where leadership can be replaced through the ballot rather than through the bullets. And that was one of the reasons why we did what we did at that time. The coming together started informally, with some of our members joining the government. We later formalized the arrangements through a memorandum of understanding, signed publicly with ODA and shared widely with the public. This far, a core agenda of our coming together has been achieved. We have a stable and peaceful country. We beat back the chaos and created an environment in which we can agree to disagree without staring at a collapse.
Raila also reiterated that ODM can still field a candidate in 2027. I just want you to listen to this before I dive further into it.
We have not passed any resolution as a party to say how we are going to go into the election of 2027. So wherever you are, don't commit the party to some things which have not been discussed. Let those things be discussed first. We are ODM. Who's told you that ODM will not have a candidate in 2027? Who has told you? So first, think as ODM. We have a clear plan that we have negotiated and we have agreed on, and let us continue to implement that plan. Other decisions we'll take when the time comes.
First, unless we are forgetful people, but the fact remains that Raila is a stabilizing factor. Now, look at it this way. In 2007, if Raila stood his ground and said this, I am not relinquishing this position, or we are not coming to the negotiating table, we are not going to talk with Kibaki and all that, where could Kenya be today? Definitely Kenya would have collapsed. In 2013, 2027, 2022, Raila has always gone into handshake. But one thing that people forget is that, people just think, no, you wouldn't have shaken someone's hand and all that. You think the country would have been peaceful? No. Let's always remember this, that peace is important, and Kenya has been at a point where collapse was near, and Raila has always come at a very critical point to make sure that the country is stable, and he does so by getting into a handshake. I know many people ignore that and always say that Raila is going there for his individual benefit, but they forget that before the handshake the country was tearing apart, but immediately Raila gets into handshake, the country stabilizes, peace is restored in the country. We saw that in the recent years. Kenya was collapsing, that's a fact, but Raila shook hands with Ruto, and today we enjoy that peace, even if we still face a myriad of challenges as a country. So do not ignore the fact that Raila still remains a stabilizing factor in Kenyan politics. Another very important issue that I picked here is the issue of 2027. Okay, Raila says that ODM has not signed any agreement or any pact with UDA for 2027 presidential race, but what it is clear is that we have ODM MPs like Kaluma, who strongly support President Ruto, and they've already endorsed him. And also in my previous discussion I said this: Raila has already endorsed President Ruto. However, he would play a game, but what I know is that Raila will support President Ruto in 2027. So what is going to happen is that ODM will not field a candidate. Just understand that, even if Raila says that it is still possible for ODM to field a candidate, actually a presidential candidate for that matter. But hear me out, this is what will happen. Raila will sign a pact with President Ruto, where ODM will endorse President Ruto formally and campaign for him. But it's not the right time to say we will endorse President Ruto. At the right time, that will be made clear. Politics change, but do you think there is any slim possibility of Raila not endorsing and campaigning for President Ruto in 2027?